first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Fox 12 meteorologist Katie Suniga, and this is your Fox 12 weather edition of Fox 12 Now. And today I am bringing you a pretty fun interview. I recently met with Ruth Spiro. She wrote this book, Baby Loves Meteorology. Now, it's just one of many in her STEM series, but when this one came out, I just thought it was a really fun book. She sent it to me. I got to flip through it, and it was so fun and so interesting how she got into it, why she wrote it, all the fun behind the scenes look at where this book is and where she's going from here. So we sat down and talked with her, got to ask her lots of questions, and I want to share that now with you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Ruth. She is an author of a series of children's books, not just the one that I am holding here. I actually have a whole list and the series of science books that you have authored over the years. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So there's a complete series called Baby Loves Science, but of course the one that stood out to me was Baby Loves Meteorology, which I have right here with me today to share with you. And my first question for you today, Ruth, is what inspired you to write this specific book and the one, that's about meteorology?
Well, this book happens to be the 25th in the Baby Love Science series. I have wanted to write this book for a very long time. I have just always been a fan of meteorology. My family will tell you I'm always watching the weather forecasts and checking the weather on my apps and everything. I just find it so interesting. And I really wanted to write this book because all of the Baby Love Science books start with something that a very small child would be familiar with, something that they observe, something that they experience. And, when we're getting ready to go out in the morning, we have to decide what to wear. And how do we decide what to wear? We have to check the weather. Are we going to wear snow pants, or are we going to wear shorts, or do we need to take an umbrella? So I thought this was a really great topic for, toddlers and preschoolers, because weather is something that they see and experience every day.
You don't have any background or personal connection with weather. It's just something that you've had a love for the science of it for most of your life since you were an adult. Like, when do you think you started getting interested in it?
I don't know. It's honestly, I have been interested in weather for a very, very, very long time. I mean, maybe in college. I can't even recall, but it's just something that I'm always just checking, and I'm always just interested. It's windy or it's not windy, or the sun is shining or there's clouds coming. I think I'm interested in weather because it oftentimes affects what we do that day, like whether we can go out and work in the garden or whether we need to stay at home and just, watch from inside.
Working in the garden. I did that yesterday. Okay. So how did you go about breaking down the very complex concepts that we deal with as meteorologists, like the water cycle and weather prediction, and so that they're accurate yet baby friendly?
So all the books start with a lot of research. I do a lot of reading. I check websites. I read books. I sometimes do talk to experts. And I start out with all the information about the particular topic. And then again, I try to choose the elements that a small child would be able to connect with and that they would be familiar with. And then I just sort of pull back the curtain on that and share a little bit of the science behind that topic. And I should mention that all of our books are reviewed by experts. Both the text and the illustrations are reviewed because we want to make sure that everything is absolutely accurate. Because I can do a lot of research, but that is no substitute for someone who has been working in the field for 20 or 30 years or more. So I just want to make sure that everything is 100% correct.
So you consulted with a meteorologist with this book, maybe before, during, and after, before you went to publish it?
Yes. They review the text, and then they review the illustrations every step of the way. We are submitting it to whoever our expert reviewer is, and they are making sure that everything is completely accurate.
Just out of curiosity, was it a TV broadcast meteorologist, or was it somebody at like National Weather Service or NOAA?
It was a gentleman who works for the Center for Global Change Science, He is a research scientist there. His name is C. Adam Schlosser. And
Nice.
also our Dr. Fred Bortz has reviewed all of our books. And he also, I believe he has written a book about weather as well.
So you had somebody who kind of had done it before, just not in a child's book form.
It was for an older age group. Yes.
Oh, wonderful. All right. So meteorology can be such a visual science. We show our weather maps and everything that we have. How did you work with the illustrator to bring these concepts to life for your young readers?
Through my research, obviously, I came across a lot of different visuals and maps and diagrams and things. So when it was time for her to start working on the illustrations, I did send a lot of links to visuals that I thought would be helpful from websites such as NOAA and other, reputable sources, just to make sure that she had good visual references for her art.
That's good. Did you guys just, out of curiosity, did you go through like several visualizations, or should she pretty much just kind of get it right off the bat?
No, there are always things that need to be revised and changed along the way. And one thing that might be interesting to note is that I don't work directly with the illustrator. That happens at the publisher level. So I submit the text, and then they have an art director that works with the illustrator. So there's sort of a go-between, but I do get to review the illustrations every step of the way and give input. But yeah, so I think a lot of people might be interested to know that we normally don't work actually together.
Oh, I've never published a book, so I definitely did not know that. What's the biggest misconception adults have about science books for babies and toddlers?
I am not trying to teach science to babies and toddlers, right? What I'm trying to do is develop that sense of curiosity and wonder. And, small children, they have questions like, what makes the wind, or why do we see a rainbow? And a lot of times parents don't know the answer. And it's okay to say, I don't know the answer. Let's go find a book about it and read about it and learn. So I don't feel that I'm necessarily teaching small children these very complex topics. Rather, I'm showing them that so many things that they see and experience every day are related to STEM topics, science and technology and engineering and math, and how they can just continue to ask questions and be curious and then find out the answers. And that's how they're going to learn about the world around them.
Why do you think that it's important to introduce science to children at such a young age?
Again, I think it's really important just to introduce it to them, to help them maybe develop some of the vocabulary. There are always those little ones who might memorize all the dinosaurs, right? And so if they can learn Tyrannosaurus Rex, they can learn the word molecule, they can learn the word thermometer and barometer. I mean, there are accurate words for things. So I think just introducing that vocabulary is really helpful. And again, just instilling that sense of wonder and curiosity and asking questions and, just observing the world around them and inspiring them to learn about things that they see and experience every day.
Yeah, as a mother of a son who adored dinosaurs, I think learning how to say Giganotosaurus was much harder than learning how to say barometer.
Right.
Those,
Exactly.
those are some complex words. Okay. So, what has been the reaction from parents and educators about, Baby Loves Meteorology? Do you have any, favorable or fun or memorable feedback that you've received?
The feedback that I received just in general overall is that parents really enjoy having books that they can read with their children where they feel like they're learning something right along with them. Because a lot of times, like I said, parents don't know the answers to all of their kids' questions. And so it's helpful for them. And, as a parent, we know our children sometimes bring a book, the same book 10, 12 nights in a row, and they want over and over and over again. And so it's kind of nice to feel like you're learning something when you're reading these books and something that might be interesting. So overall, I do get really positive feedback from parents because they feel like they're learning something too, and they're interested in what's in the book, and they feel like they're just helping their kids get a jump start on that sense of curiosity and becoming interested in science.
I read That's Not My Puppy like a million times when my
Right?
kids were growing up. That book is, I still have it. It is tattered, all the corners and everything that we have on the
And
book.
that's
So,
the best. I love it when books are well loved like that.
yeah, we passed many on, but there were a few that I kept because of that very reason. They get attached, they love you, read them over
The
and
favorite,
over.
right. My
Yeah.
daughters are in their 20s now, and I still have a shelf of books that I vividly remember as their favorites and sitting on their bed at night reading to them. I can't get
Hmm.
rid of those books.
No, you definitely can't. Yes. Okay. So many parents reading these books may be learning alongside their children. So was that an intention for you in just the entire series of, building that connection between the parents and the child with these books?
Actually, it really was because I was thinking about all those books that I read to my daughters when they were little over and over and over again.
Hmm.
And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if there were some books that, had a little bit of an elevated content
Hmm.
where they were definitely appropriate for the ages that I was writing them for, and that would also help parents understand some of the concepts that maybe they snoozed through in high school or college.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite weather phenomenon of your own? And did it make it into the book?
Well, so I would have to say one of the most interesting things I learned about was where wind comes from, because I had absolutely no idea. And I learned it was about the movement of warm air and cold air and how that, the shift in the air pressure, which I thought was fascinating. Unfortunately, it didn't make it into the book because the books only have 10 spreads, and we had to be very concise about what we were
Hmm.
including.
Hmm.
I love rainbows, and I think that's a super fun thing for kids to learn about because
Hmm.
of the science and the weather related to them. But actually, there's another book in the series that has already included rainbows, and
Uh-huh.
that's the about the five senses and vision and sight. So that's our rainbows are already covered in there. But again, it's the whole idea of the rain and what do we need to, where does rain come from and how do clouds form and how do we know what to wear in the morning? So that to me seemed like the most important thing for small children to learn about and to understand, and it's something again that they experience all the time. Like you can't go outside in the pouring rain if you're just wearing shorts and a t-shirt. You need to put something on that's going to keep you dry.
My favorite one in the series was when you got to the one of the weather person, the weather forecaster, the meteorologist up there, and I liked that it was a dark-haired lady.
Yes.
that was that was my favorite. I was like, oh, good. So that was mine. So it's so cute. It says meteorologists use the information to predict the weather. This helps baby know what to expect today, tomorrow, and even next week. So that was my favorite. It was the second to last page in the book, but I
Yes.
particularly
Great.
liked
I
that one.
like to hear that.
Yeah. All right. My last question for you today is what's next for the Baby Love series?
Well, there is another book in this series coming out next year, and that is Baby Loves Robotics, which I'm super
Oh.
excited about. Yes. And for those who are graduates of the Baby Love Science series, because, kids tend to grow and move into next level of their reading material, we have started a new series of picture books that are
Oh.
for early elementary readers on some of the topics, but just, that they have a little bit more information and they're for slightly older kids. Because one of the comments that I was getting is that, well, my child has outgrown the Baby Loves books, which we loved. What's next?
Yeah.
So we decided to start a picture book series with similar topics that would be for slightly older children.
Oh, that'll be interesting. I'll definitely have to follow you along on that one. It'll be fun to see how you develop those and which ones you go with. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, my last question, is there anything that I have not thought to ask you or just any topics or points that you want to make sure we include in this interview?
I'm just super excited for this new book, and I'm so glad that as a
Yeah.
meteorologist, you invited me here because, that's certainly a vote of confidence, and I appreciate it.
Yes, I was very excited. Our chief meteorologist saw it and passed it to me because he knew that I would be interested, and it's really fun. So we often go to schools. We get invited to schools, all different age levels. I've done from preschool to middle school and high school, and we talk with everybody. And usually it's whenever they're doing some form of science or weather, unit within the class. And when I go there, I just look through their books and see if I can find something to use to, that's a little more at their level. So depending on the age, I might just be taking your book with me if that's okay.
Excellent. And I just thought of one more thing I should mention. I always have to mention the illustrator, and her name is Kat Uno. And the illustrators do such a fabulous job. And so I feel like I absolutely always need to give them credit for the work that they've done.
If they had gotten there on time, she was going to do a book like those, but they're late.
All right. Well, I want to thank Ruth again for joining me and sharing with us about her book, where it came from, and where she's going from here. And if you have any topics that you would like me to cover in the weather edition of Fox 12 Now, please email us at fox12now@kptv.com so I can do some digging and get some of that content out for you. Also, please stick around 4 o'clock today when we start our afternoon newscast. We do have updated information for you about this weekend with the heat we're expecting, the temperatures, the changes, because we do have a first alert weather day for you on Sunday where we could see the hottest temperatures of the season in those low to mid 90s through the I-5 corridor. So we want to keep you updated on air and, of course, on our Fox 12 weather app. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you again here.